Hello, everybody. Hi, Dave.
I hit record.
Your name's Steve. Sit up here.
There we go. It is recording. Welcome to the Contemporary Issues class. So glad you are here today to learn about the Camino and the trip in Spain with the St. Andrew group. It was led by several chaperones, including our speaker today, Steve O'Neill and Rev Mark. So what a great opportunity. Invited Steve, a longtime friend and member of St. Andrew, to come and speak to us. And he said, first thing I want to speak to us about is our recent trip, which was when?
At the end of May, first week of June. We came back on June 1st.
Good.
The dates are on the screen.
Dates.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Okay. But before we do that, before I introduce Steve Moore, I want to welcome everybody and do our usual announcements, which are Zoomers, please mute yourself in the lower left corner of your screen. And can you hear us okay first, Zoomers? Just want to make sure. Susan, yes. Are you there?
Yep.
Good. I'm glad you can hear us this week. Where are you, in Toronto today?
I am. I'm in my car on my way to a luncheon. So I'm only going to I'm going to leave in 30 minutes, but glad to join you for at least a few.
It's okay. Glad to have you. And Mary Clark and Joe. And we are recording this for playback as we always do. So Steve's going to have a great presentation to show other groups too on the Camino, including video and photos. And Steve is going to take questions and comments during his presentation too. Short, of course. Don't dominate too much. Let him get through his presentation, but short questions or comments, just raise your hand and holler out. So I'm looking forward to learning what it's like to walk 80 miles in Spain also in the countryside. So with that, any other announcements? Things? Yes.
We are planning a class party end of summer. And we were thinking the last week right before Labor Day. A little feedback. What dates in that week would not work for people? So,
yeah. Tell us about that if anybody wants to come to a summer party.
Well, there you go. If you don't want to come.
A week before Labor Day. You mean that the dates within that weekend?
Before, well, during the week usually works better.
Oh, I thought we had, okay.
Last one was at my house, and it was like Tuesday or Thursday.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah.
You want to tell the suggested dates quick?
Maybe the 23rd or the 25th. Also Tuesday or Thursday. Wednesdays are usually really busy around church. So.
Yeah.
Yes. And it would be here, not at my house this time. Yeah. That was a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that some more. Yeah. Let's don't take time during class today to do that. And I'm excited and want to thank Bob and Jan Williams for donating a car to our Afghan family.
We're not donating.
I know.
We're good middle people.
They know folks who are donating to an Afghan family they support, and another car to the Afghan family we support. But I'm excited about that because it's hard to do, hard to find people who will do that. So thank you. Okay, with that, let me introduce Steve O'Neill, longtime St. Andrew member, member of the choir and the men's team and probably lots of other things, and recently retired from technology business and loves to do things with the church. Thank you, Susie, for shutting the doors. And with that, tell us about Camino.
So the first thing is that we all want to do is just say, Buen Camino. Buen Camino. You're going to say it probably multiple hundreds of times a day as you walk along. As soon as you say it, they immediately know that you're English. Then change to speaking you a little English and stuff like that. We heard many languages along the way for what there was. I'll be describing what it is. The first thing I'm going to be doing is I want to show a video of the where I can find it. Okay, all right. Feeling on technology. Okay, here we go. This is the video that was shown in church. I'm going to show two videos today. The first one was developed then on day 3 of it, but it's with Rev Mark to paint some context about this. I'll be showing you at the end of this, the youth one. And the youth one is radically different for this. But the thing that's wonderful about it is you will get the impressions about what it was like for them. And if anybody shows up that walked the Camino with me, we will specifically ask them about what they want to do. So now I need to go to this one. Right. That's Felicia. There were 14 of us that went on the trip, and it was really wonderful to be able to go with them. We went with 10 kids and 4 chaperones. Right now, technology is beating me.
That's okay. Zoomers, can I check if you were able to see the video and hear us okay?
Yep.
Good, okay. Checking that our technology is working.
There is no sound though.
Sound up? Okay, we'll speak up loud.
Okay, so the about the Camino itself then is that Rev Mark stated then that this is, we wanted to take a group then to walk the Camino, specifically young people that were 18 to 26-year-olds is what the goal was for us to do. I want to thank everybody in the church. We go to a large church, and one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is do many hands. I was lucky enough to be one of the chaperones to go with this. As we've all experienced in our lives, then I was a conduit. I was just merely an adult going along with this for the rest of the kids, for them to go ahead and do with what they needed to do. And that's what the privilege is for us, is that we are able to go ahead and do things for this age group. Specifically around this age group, this is the age that people traditionally fall out of the church, 18 to 26-year-olds. So we're trying to do everything that we can in order for us to deal with this. So to talk through at a very high level some context, some basic things to have people be aware of about it. So what is a pilgrimage? What is the El Camino? Why is it important to St. Andrew and things like that? So let's go through this. Pilgrimage is a journey, and for us, then one of the things I was intrigued to learn is this journey can be. Most people think of as a destination that you're going to go to someplace far away to go ahead and do a pilgrimage. Many people do a pilgrimage just here locally. It is a journey, and it could be a personal journey. It could be something. If you don't have the means to travel, maybe it's just on your way to work. You're going to think about it, something that's intentional for you to do. Expanding your meaning of your own life, about yourself, about themselves, about with what you're doing. What is your higher good? What is your higher calling? What are the questions that you ask yourself on a daily basis? What are you doing to improve yourself? Is with what you're doing on a pilgrimage is that I'm intentionally doing something to improve myself. It's intentional with the intent of doing something that's a personal transformation. And then you go back to your life after you're transformed, you're improved and everything else like that, and you return back to your common daily life with it. So for us then, we as Christians do the Holy Land trip, we do the Rome thing, we do the Camino de Santiago, those kinds of things. Pilgrimage has been going on forever. Of course, the big one, of course, for Muslims is Mecca. And then the Western Wailing Wall for Jews, which is so any place that people feel that there's a closeness, or the way I've always liked it was way harder to describe it was thin places. Where do you find thin places for God? And what are you doing with this for going along with it? What are the three elements for a pilgrimage? The blue box. The first one is that it's a journey that you're going on it. It's an intentional thing that you're doing. It's not by, we live so much of our lives as, just happenstance, that it's just kind of happening along. No, if you're going to go on a pilgrimage, if you're going to do it, you're going to sink everything that you have into it. And the more that you sink into it, the more results you're going to get out of it. The engagement, specifically the questions that you ask yourself, is also the context for the answers that you derive. Okay. One of the things I found to be fascinating was working with Rev Mark is what did he design in the questions that he asked in his devotions to spawn us then on our journey as we're walking with it, which is masterful. Okay, and then with that, and then the
devotions every morning, for example.
Yeah, I'll go through what we did every day. With it, yes, we did devotions every day, and so every day we had something that was going along with that, and then the answers to that were the sacred encounters that you're doing because you're on purpose of putting yourself in someplace different to experience things differently, that you're going to spontaneously have things that are different, like the different people that you meet on the Camino, okay? And the chance things that you're happening, the chance encounters, what you eat, what you choose to do, all of those kinds of things. Make sense for what a pilgrimage is? It is something that you do on purpose, okay? So the Camino, the France Camino is a very long one. It starts all the way over here in France. And this is it is 450 miles long. It starts over here in France then, and it cuts across the northern portion of Spain as you go all the way across it. And as you get to the very end, we joined in the last 5 days with what most people walked there. You can see the people by the time that we had walked along this, they'd already been walking 35 days.
Wow.
Okay. And so we join in the last segment of that, okay, to go ahead and go along with this. This area over here in the northern portion is extremely dry, okay? And it's extremely flat and it's extremely boring. For people that walk the whole Camino then, they find most of the revelations and most of the close places that they have with God is during the solitude. I found that to be quite interesting when we interacted with them. So when they're walking through here, the Roja region, okay? The wine region and stuff like that is kind of drier and stuff like that as you're walking across that. And then you walk all the way over here to the Santiago de Compostela, which is the city. But what you actually are heading towards is the Church of St. James. The Church of St. James is, once again, during this time, it started in 1000. There was a farmer that dug up a body and he thought that it was St. James. Okay, so to go along with this, so what do? I thought one of the funniest things in another trip that we had done is what do you do to get people to go to your church? You think of a carnival ride, and that's the way that this guy described it to us. Is that you have, what am I doing to draw? Okay, I have the body of St. James, or maybe not the whole body, maybe I have body parts. Okay, so but it's an attraction for why do I come to this? And so it started in 1000 that this would actually go along. The repercussions of this going on for over 1200 years, you'll see, is astounding to actually think about. And it's been constant and pervasive since 1000. That people on purpose have walked the pilgrimage then to go to the Church of St. James. Now you walk all the way there, okay? And then the other thing that's hilarious is I'm pointing now to the far coastline. There's over here on the point is Finisterre. This is Finisterre. The finish. Okay. This is the last point that people saw when they were sailing vessels then. So this was where that as they were sailing away, they were sailing goodbye to everything that they knew, and that they were going to sail off the edge of the earth. Okay. So they never thought that they were coming back. This last section is like, I would call it a bonus walk. Okay, I've already walked 35 days, but if I want to walk an additional 3 days, I can walk all the way to Finisterre. Okay. We did go to Finisterre, but we did not walk there. Okay, but it's a very important place then. And the other thing is that this is the place that where after your walk and your pilgrimage then, that you would baptize yourself in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so the Finisterre goes all the way across there. But that's not all, folks. The seashell is incredibly important. This logo, the blue logo, is incredibly important for it. And you will see people walk up and they will do this immediately to you. And what they're doing is they're saying, and they will acknowledge to you, is that there's many ways to God. And that's one of the things that I thought was really profound about it is that you have all of these different routes. So there's the north, you see the yellow route, that's the French route that goes across. There's one that goes up north, then that goes along the coastline. My personal favorite that I want to do is go up from Portugal, the green one on the left-hand side. Okay, the primitive route, which starts over in the Basque region, over towards Barcelona. Okay, so all of these are different routes that you could do, but that's not all. My gosh, you could start in Italy. Okay, so there's Italy ones, there's Germany ones that are all tying into this thing for you to go ahead and walk. And then I dropped the bombshell on the kids. I said, we got there. And then I said, 1,000 years ago, you'd have to walk home. And the deal about that is what's so profound about it is you walk home as a new person. Everything that you left on the Camino, everything that you learn on the Camino, you start living your life new. Okay. Okay, why do we go? To eradicate social disconnection. That's the whole purpose of why the church went, for us to go with this. I'm going to read the quote because you get these zingers along the way constantly with things that you're going along. Why do you move so much if what you came looking for can be found in a still moment? So it's just on a picnic table. Okay, so you get these kinds of things along with what's going on. So why we went was because to build relationships. And for me, what it was about is everything is the same in my life, and everything is different. Nothing matters in my life except my relationships.
So did these participants know each other before
No.
you went?
No. Sand against the wind. I mean, these people were totally random. We had a girl that went to Baylor, the University of Wyoming, Colorado State University, CU. So many of them are in school, recent high school graduates. So we had 2 kids that just literally graduated the week before, which was hilarious to hear about them, about everything that they went through. Rev Mark had a catastrophic week before he went on the thing, including his garage door breaking. So all the, you know, is what you would expect, of course, you know, and that's what, and his son graduated from high school. Okay, so life is always, you know, these peaks, you know, and it's like everything peaked right before we went on this. So for some people, it was like the peak happened even before. So for them walking on the Camino was actually relief because I didn't have to deal with everything else from the beginning.
So did they identify as being socially disconnected?
They all have experienced it to some degree at some point in time. The reality of it is especially when you go to college, you have to start your whole network of your friends all over again, and you have to do that. Okay, and many people struggle with their first semester and talk through what it's like for them to deal with it. The other reality is that there are some other kids that the girl that went to Baylor, Cassidy, is a Division I NCAA volleyball player. And so she immediately got transferred into her network of help there with her friends. But she says that there's so many friends that struggle to try to find where do you belong and what do you do. And that was one of the things that we don't talk about it directly, but they actually saw the value of them participating in the church.
Isn't that age group though? When you're 20 years old and trying to figure out life.
Absolutely.
Good job.
Yeah.
Everything, you know. And then we had one girl that had graduated then with her second degree, so she was the eldest on the trip. So we had others that were everything from 18 to 26 in that spectrum, and none of them knew each other. They knew everything about everybody by the time they were done with it. I walked up on amazing conversations. Yeah.
Did Rev Mark's son go?
Yes. Okay. Yes, he did. And Matt went, and the chaperones were Lori, Rev Mark's wife, Vicky Askey, and Vicky Askey's son, who's Connor. So we had 2 female chaperones and 2 male chaperones on purpose because of all the stuff we got to do nowadays. Okay, sure. So like that. Other questions?
Did the chaperones give specific requests to the kids to interact, to say,
No.
learn each other, meet each other, and
No.
or did they just kind of leave it up to them to interact? Okay.
Yes. Okay. The Rev Mark really works in a very open way. He does not. We specifically discussed this, that it's going to be organic, that it's what kinds of things go along.
Okay.
The only structure that we asked them to do was we put them in roommate pairs, and then each one of the roommates had to do the daily summary of what we did, which eventually got posted on the website. I encourage you to go take a look at the website after you see it. And so each day you'd have these view of these two people, as they went along then for them as to with what happened that day. Okay, that was and the devotional structure. That's all the structure.
Okay. Did Mark give specific spiritual questions
for you to
consider as you're walking along?
Yes.
Talk about our faith life.
Yes. Okay. Let me see about this. I will get into it in what's happened to the schedule. Okay. I got to go through. I have to do some back. Let me rewind a second about some stuff contextually that you have to understand about it. Sure. Which is the logistics of it and why do people walk the Camino? They don't talk about our schedule. What happened along the way? The difference then about what happened on the last day. Of when we walked, because we walked for 5 days. We were there 10 days total. We had to fly there, then we had 2 days to get acclimatized, then we walked for the 5 days, then we had 2 days post. One day was going to Finisterre and the other one was to Madrid. And then I'll talk about what happens if you guys want to walk the Camino.
What altitude is it?
It's low. It's nothing above 800 feet.
So it's easier going from here to there than from there to here.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All right. The first thing I want to talk about is the logistics about what happens then on each town. Each town, it's on top of a hill, and I've got to try to get to the video, so bear with me while I try to get to this. Okay, so this is the first. Let me take attention on this one because this is really important. Okay, this is what happens after you walk on a trail for 1,000 years. Okay, so this is what happens when you walk on a trail for 1,000 years.
Oh, cool.
Weird thing.
I'm not kidding. You'd be walking along, and all of a sudden you realize the dirt line was up there. Okay, and you realize that people have been walking this thing for 1,000 years. So what it was is this was not the rolling hills. This was Galatia is a very wet area. So it is more like a ravine. So you go down the ravine, you get to the bottom, then you cross over the stone bridge that goes over the area, over the little water, and then you proceed to go back up, okay, and hike up. But between hilltop to hilltop that would be 1 to 3 miles, okay? And over on that hilltop would be like 6 to 12 houses. And over on that hilltop would be 6 to 12 houses. And there's also going to be this thing called an oberg. And an oberg is a youth hostel, okay, a place to sleep. But they also serve beer. Sorry, I'm going to say that the wrong way. The number one thing that they sold was lattes. Coffee was just unbelievable. Okay, so you do this hike, the rough hike section, and then you'd want to go stop and get a fresh squeezed orange juice, fresh melon one day. Oh my gosh, so the logistical support as you moved along, and then at each one of these was a place to stop for you to use the restrooms if you wanted to. It also commonly they would have a place for 10 to 20 people to sleep, and this is the other problem that we specifically said that we wanted to know that we had accommodations at the next town. If you're walking the walk and you're doing it, you would go to a place then and you would have to get up very early. You would hike like crazy. You get to the place at 4 p.m. You can begin standing in line. At 5 p.m. they open the doors and then they let as many people into their oberg that can fit there and sleep there. You sleep in a room of between 10 and 40 people, yes, with people that are snoring, okay, and everything else that's going on. And you do this for all the time you're walking as you're moving along. Our logistics was a little bit different. Our logistics was that we were hit badly by COVID. And what happened was all of the small family-run obergs were the ones that went bankrupt. And they were just starting to open up. We were just the first set of people that there was enough traffic that the small family plans could open up. So what we had to stay at a hotel over here, and then we had the bus drive us, and I describe it as a pie slice. So we drive to the place we're going to walk that, and then we go back, and then we do the next pie slice. So we're doing this every day. And every day we get picked up and driven back to the hotel. The disadvantage was we didn't get to stay every place along the way. You couldn't stay along the way. But then the other advantage was that we had this home base, which was Lugo. Lugo, we were at a new hotel, but we were 2.5 blocks away from the city wall. You walk through the archway of the old city wall, and immediately you're in Old Town. And immediately everything changes now with the traditional shops on the first floor, people living above it, amazing restaurants, dancing places, everything else, bars and stuff like that. So the kids started using this every night. They used this as a base camp. And then afterwards, they could go do anything they wanted. Okay, so I was talking about the glacier. I got distracted, which I often do. Sorry about that. Okay, but attempt to find the video that I want to show. In a second, I'll show you that one. Okay, this is the ones that I want to show you. Okay, it's showing exactly like what I don't want to see. Okay, so what this is, and I'm going to show this over again because it's a pan of valleys. And you can see it is very, very lush, deep. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that, folks. They're up there. So, but you can see that it's very deciduous trees and also pines, and it's very wet. We only had 1 day of rain, and we weren't walking that day. The other thing about this is Galicia. There are 7 states in Spain. Galicia is the wettest one in that corner, and it's all because of the climate then that's caused by the Atlantic Ocean. And that was one of them. And this is another one, another view of the exact same place without Red Market yet. Now, let's see, I gotta get back to my other sets of notes on this. Okay. Why do people walk the Camino? I'm gonna go back to this and just leave it at this, just because I can talk about it. Why do they walk the Camino? There is the Catholic Church requests that each person does a pilgrimage within their lifetime. This is one of the most popular ones for the Catholic Church to do. So you are required to go on a pilgrimage at some time within the Catholic Church. In order for you to do that, you're required to walk 100 kilometers or 62 miles is what it is. You have to get a passport. You get this passport, and then each day as you walk along, as you're going along to the Obergs, you get a stamp. The stamps are hilarious. We had everything from my personal favorite, the tortoise shell, okay, the tortoise walking along, you know, slow pace kind of stuff then, to the dancing guy that looked like he had way too much caffeine. Okay, so they had all of these different kinds of stamps that you went along. The one on the right is the piece de resistance. This is the wax stamp that has the piece of cloth going through it with the Buen Camino, and it's the wax stamp that you actually got. Okay, you were required to get 2 stamps in every day that you walk. So if you're walking for the 35, your passport is large, and our guys were stopping every place they could. They would get like 6 or 7 along the day, you know, because they're stopping every place to go do things.
So where are the stamps at?
At the Oberg. Okay, so when you pull up to the bar, when you walk up to the bar, there will be a place that you do the stamp. Some places, you know, you got to buy the drink or the chocolate dipped croissant. Okay, that was one of the plans. Okay. The other one that was to die for was the fruit bar that was made with fresh fruit and stuff. And don't forget, over there, there's a lot less sugar, so it actually tasted like a fabulous fruit bar. Okay. So you'd either have to buy something, or else they were nice and just the stamps in front. Thanks. Bam. You know, go along, do it. So there you could go through and do those things. Let's see what else was there. They lied about the distance. They had this brochure, and they said that you're walking so many kilometers every day. And Rev Mark thought this was the funniest thing because everything turned into being plus 10 to 30%. So Mark, all of a sudden, Rev Mark is got very dry humor, and then all of a sudden you'd be talking about whatever, some other thing that you're not even thinking about, and then Mark says, plus 10 to 30%. So, you know, like, how good is your day? Plus 10 to 30%. You know, so it'd be things you weren't expecting to hear about. We walked 16 miles, 16 miles, 20 miles, 12 miles, and 12 miles. It was the cadence that killed us. It was the every day you're getting up and you're doing it again. So by day 3, everybody had a blister. Everybody had a blister.
Did the kids walk faster than the adults?
The kids were nice. They walked with us for an hour. So the nature about what it's like to walk on is because of the places are every 1 to 3 miles. Then you would gravitate towards somebody that's kind of walking your pace, and you talk to them. So I walked for a while with somebody you'd walk with them for this section. And then you pull off to the side of the road and go to the over to get your, mine was Coke Zero, okay? Oh, no, mine was not. Mine was aqua con gas, which I love water with gas, okay? Carbonated water, because it always makes me think of her. So aqua con gas, and the kids thought that was very funny. They like to order it a lot for me. But you would walk with the group and you'd stop. And then the portion of the group would be walking past you as you're sitting in they're more like outdoor lawns is what I would describe it. It's kind of an outdoor lawn with a little patio thing over there. And you go get your drink and your chocolate dip or something. And then you go eat it out in the area and stuff. And you see a portion of your passing. And then as you're walking there that day, there would be other people that are walking at the exact same pace. So one group that was hilarious that I encountered was the group from Dublin, Ireland, that was the Catholic boys from the Catholic school that were 14 to 16-year-old. And they were straight-laced. They were Catholic boys, and they knew yes sir, no sir, and that kind of thing. Very, very straight. Well, we were walking along with them that day, and then we came to a place that there was a fountain, okay? And it was a big round fountain. It was, cascading water off the thing and stuff like that. And I'm standing there, and I'm watching these group of these straight guys just coming down, and I realized this has got to change. And so I said, oh, look, it's a baptismal font. And I walked over and I slammed my head into the water and came back up. And they looked at me as if I was crazy. And they all did something along that. They started the water fight. And they realized that it didn't have to be like the way that they had been described that they thought they were doing. Later on, they were playing music, they were singing, they were much more freehand about what else was going along with it. So you're doing this leapfrog thing, and then you would have the chance to, and then you'd find yourself alone. And you'd walk 20 minutes, an hour by yourself, listen to birds, the sun, the trees, slowing down. It was unbelievable. And one of the other things for me that was quite spontaneous was, there's a girl that's named Margaret, and she is in our choir, and she is a trained operatic performer. I'm walking along, and then she proceeds to break out in singing "You Lift Me Up."
Wow.
And if she was here today, I would have her do it because it was like, oh my gosh, it's like,
We know Margaret. We know Margaret.
Yeah.
Incredible.
we know
It
Margaret.
was just unbelievable. It was just stunning, and it was just unbelievable. So you have people breaking on the songs, you have people praying, you have all kinds of things along the way.
So what was your favorite part?
Last day, there was stuff that transpired for me that was just unbelievable. Let me go to the last day because if it's a very, I never talked about our schedule. Can I do the schedule and then go to the last day?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, really. No, you can overrule Steve anytime.
Yeah, we've got 17 minutes left. Whatever you want to
Okay,
talk.
gotta get going. Okay, all right. We had breakfast. At 8 o'clock, there was a devotion. There was always a Bible verse that was picked by Rev Mark that the children would read. Children, no, young adults. Some of them were a lot more adults than y'all. Anyway, it was just okay. Rev Mark had walking topics, is what he called them, and it was from a Buddhist book. Okay, so I thought it was interesting that how the many hands, the many ways to God thing came up. Okay, the questions that he said, the three that I can distinctly remember. The first one was, what did you leave behind? Then he twisted a little and said, what did you need to leave behind? Okay, we're gonna go walk on that for a day. Okay, another one. Who are you walking for? And that was really interesting because you'd always talk about it within the group then about what people said about who they were walking for the next day. And the topic was whatever that was and stuff. And there was a lot of family members, other things like that, and extended things that happened with them. And then for me, one of the ones that was really wonderful was who are you walking with? Who's walking with you? And for me, one of the big one is I have a fellowship group here, and every single one of them walked with me. It was a good time. It was wonderful. And this show was from Jim and Pat Vanderbilt, who they had participated in the walk, and I walked with the show the whole time. I beat on this show, okay, and I'm surprised that it's still in one piece, okay, considering how bad that I mistreated it. But it's like that in life, that sometimes life is tough, and your friends carry you along. So this shell that I'm wearing is really special for me. Then we took the bus to where we walked. We walked for 7 or 8 hours. This, I would call it, you walk hard and then you rest. Walk hard and then you rest, okay? So because you're able to rest with it, you're able to go ahead and do these really long distances for it, okay? And then they would buy food to eat. They also had the traditional sandwich, is it's a piece of white bread with a piece of ham and a piece of cheese on it, okay? And you could get those things for €5 all over the place, okay? But they also had fresh vegetables, fresh salads, and things like that, so you could eat anything like that. Then you got your passport stamped at the Obergs, and as you're walking along, then we took the bus back to the hotel. We had dinner at 8 o'clock, and the kids were free. And by the second half of the week, they realized that they were free. Okay, so they go out most nights then and discover stuff. And you'll see that in the last video about how much they really started taking on about what this life is like and how different the Europeans live their lives. What's Rev Mark like?
Yeah, good question.
Okay, and so the thing about Rev Mark is about him is he spent most of his time walking with his wife. I think that was a good thing for him. But Rev Mark is a person that when you're around him, you can tell that he's here in this conversation, absolutely. And then he will go off and he will be someplace else and he'll be thinking about something else. And you're aware that he has many more things going on in his life. The other thing that was very interesting is Lori acts as a support person. And she will intercept stuff around Mark so Mark can continue to think about with whatever else he's thinking of. So what happened for me was I needed €2 for a tip for the bus driver. I said, Mark, I need $2. I need €2 for a bus. Lori got it, just like that. And it was like, just like she was that kind of thing. So the relationship about the way that they operate it was like greased lightning. I mean, it was just so smooth about the way she was taking care of him and about what else that there was about it, stuff like that. The other thing that astounded me is Mark was still working. He still had stuff back here. He was dealing with staffing issues. He was dealing with his next sermon that he had to do. So he's going along and doing all those things. So what I'm saying is he operates in a completely different level. Okay, the only other place that I've ever experienced this was when I was around the really senior people at IBM. They just didn't even seem like the same kind of people, like the way that they're thinking what the concerns were. So it was really cool to see that and stuff like that. Okay, when you walk, and the other thing is, then you walk with other people that are walking the trail. Okay, inspiration. The oldest couple was 75. Wow. So go as a couple. Go. I'm not kidding. Okay, and the other one was the oldest guy that we encountered was 82. Oh my. I mean, I was shocked with it, stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. The other thing is if I go, I don't think I'm going to walk. I think I'm going to ride a bike. So now you can ride, in order for you to get your Compostela, now you can go ride your bike. So you have to ride 200 kilometers, but at least you can roll downhill.
Were most of them Europeans or from all over the world?
Oh, everywhere. The group of Koreans.
Okay.
That was really interesting. The Korean Catholics that were there that was doing it. So you had that.
Did most seem Catholic or Protestant?
You had a lot of Catholics, a lot of Protestants, and stuff like that. Okay. Another thing that happened that was really, really different is there was a lot of people. Okay. There's during they're estimating around 300,000 people will walk this year. In a typical year, it was 200,000. They think that 300, only on the Francis route, okay, only on that one route is going to be 300,000. Okay, this is a huge cash cow for Spain. Okay, and the logistics of all of these Obergs and all the support going along behind it and everything like that is massive. But about 1 out of 250 people, you realize that there was something really different here. Okay, and there were people that had very severe mobility issues. There was a guy there that was probably early 30s, and he had a scar down the back of his neck, and he was walking with 2 poles, and he could barely walk, and I could tell that this was something that he had to do. Okay, that was one. You saw people with mobility issues, fill in the blank, back issues, feet issues, whatever else. Okay, so about 1 out of 250. And the other ones that were in that 250 is you would run across people that were completely in disarray, that you could tell that they were very dirty, that everything that they had was worn out. Okay, like, and you realize these people were the people that were walking in to turn their life around. Like, this is it. You know, I'm doing this because I got it. This has got to change because I can't live this way. And it was fascinating that you'd be zipping along and having a good old time with, you know, and the Italians that had the perfectly matched outfits that even had a matching belt in the carried purse that was all matched, and sunglasses. And they were just like us, that they just joined the trip at the very end. I don't know if they ever finished or not, but it was like, oh my gosh. And then you see these other people are walking in, and you realize that they're all walking for the same reason. Unbelievable. It's great, great fun. Just great fun. Okay, last day. On the last day, there were some things that happened that were quite different. The first thing about Galicia that I did not know is Galicia is Gaelic. There are 5. There are 5 Gaelic regions in the world, and Ireland's one, and this area is another one. We go walking in, and there's an archway before you go to the St. Barb's Cathedral, where there's this huge area. There's an archway. You walk through the archway, and what is playing there? Bagpipe. Oh. So the music that you're hearing was the bagpipe. It was stunning. It was just like the last thing you were going to expect is that, you know, I think, you know, have angels coming. No, I'm going to have a bagpipe. So that was very different to see about the Gaelic people. Okay, all right. For me, the other thing is that you walk along, and I'm going to have to try to kill this thing again. Find. Okay, I'm just going to go back to it because it's not that. They have the mileage markers then as you're walking along, and the mileage markers, the thing that happens with them is that people place rocks on it. The reason why you place rocks on something is 2 reasons. One is for remembrance of somebody. That's what the Jewish people do. On top of the gravestone, you go to the Holy Land, you'll see graves, then a huge amount of rocks that are what's there because they want to remember the person. The second reason is something that you need to find. What is my rock? City Bates reached over one day. She said, "Put down your rock. Put down your rock." And so there's a mileage marker stand, and it's every kilometer. Okay, and after a while, it's like, don't show me another one. You know, it's like I know I got to stick with one. So, but people place things on them. Okay, and so I had one issue, and I knew I wanted to get rid of that issue, so I placed the rock down. As soon as I did, I knew I needed to put another rock down. So I thought about something else about that topic that I didn't want to think about. Okay, so I walked another kilometer with the rock. And the second time, and by gosh, by darn, it was just like peeling it. And it was like, for me, it was so profound about this that it was something that I was not expecting. And that's what the Camino is. Camino is just an opening experience for you to ask the questions, for you to see the answers that you need to go ahead and do. So that was the other thing that was wonderful for me, was to realize then that I needed to leave something behind. So moving on, or lose it again. The last thing is that I can tell you about is actually, I have one thing to show you that is pretty spectacular. But I want to ask is there any other questions from anybody that they want to know about? Yes.
I just had one that, and I might have missed it. Why do people walk? And I thought of it at the time. Who do people walk for? Seems to have been. So did anyone give the answer for myself?
Oh, yes.
Did they?
Yes, yes, that there's always personal reasons why you walk. Okay. Mark wanted to expand it out to have you think about others besides yourself, but I can guarantee that you have so much time to think about stuff.
Well, that's it. I mean, to me, that would be the perfect answer. If you had anything in your life, you've got to walk for yourself. Yeah. And it's not a selfish reason. Right. It's not. It's not. The other thing that was deeply saddening to see was the number of pairs of shoes that were left. For the people that had died, their spouses had died, a friend had died, or whatever else, that the shoes went away. Hundreds of shoes. Hundreds.
Just beside the trail?
No, always buy a mileage mark. Always buy a place where you lose stone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever the circumstance was, what it is.
So were those things that?
Yeah, there's shoes. Well, this is a finished area. This is at the very last, and many people will. They used to have people burning their clothes, but they said you can't burn the clothes anymore because they get started forest fires. So, so now you just can do it. But yes, that is an example of it there too. So, yes,
we got about 5 minutes left.
So do those things go away? I mean, with 300,000 people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a whole maintenance crew that does all kinds of stuff along the trail. There's a lot of maintenance that's done there by the state in order for them to keep this going. It is a money-making machine. I'm sure that this stuff gets cleared off, so that way other people leave stuff. You notice that everything around the lanyard around it is fresh flowers and stuff like that. Those kinds of things that would be gone, my guess, and stuff like that. Yes, Jim?
There's the shoes.
I don't know if everybody knows about the movie that Martin Sheen made called The Way, which is really a neat movie.
That's another good movie.
And I was Pat and I have some friends that live in Colorado Springs, and he's a retired UCC minister. He and his wife did the whole thing a couple of years after they retired. And then he and I were talking about the movie, and we were talking about the other thing. And I said, you know, the part of the movie that I really did not understand was at the end of the movie, Martin Sheen is walking, I think it's at Marrakesh or something, someplace like that, and with his backpack on. And I said, I didn't understand that. He said, well, you know, if you look at the shell, I've read it. He said, if you look at the shell, there's a finite number of lines on pathways on the shell, but there really is no finite. It's all infinite. You can walk the way any way you want to.
Interesting.
So did it get lost? I mean, is the trail obvious where it goes?
No, that's one of the humorous things that happens is that the mileage markers are past the corner. So they're set back from the corner. So it's going to be over there is where so you're walking along this way, and over there is where the marker is. Everybody got lost. And everybody used the whole lost thing for their own analogy in their life, that everything's the same. And then all of a sudden you realize, I'm not seeing the yellow arrows. I'm not seeing the seashells. You know, but you keep on going on because you got to be sure that you're going the wrong way. What do? You have to turn around. Some people had to fix a lot of stuff. Rev Mark got so lost in a city, I had to give him a point and meet me here on a map so he could find me. You know, so Lori and him could find me because he got royally lost in the city. And it was bizarre because it was over there. It wasn't like it was blatantly in front of you. It's always off to the path. And I'm kind of convinced that they kind of do that on purpose So then that way you got to keep on thinking, which way am I supposed to go? You know, some of it's really obvious when the thing's, you know, 8 feet deep.
Yeah.
But trails and offshoots and side streets, and you go down alleys, oh my gosh.
We've got just a couple minutes left. Steve, you want to show?
So the last thing I'm going to run over, I'm going to announce that I'm going to run over because the last thing is one of the most amazing experiences that there is in the church world. It's called a Budiformio.
Okay.
And it
if
is.
anybody has to leave.
If you got to leave, please feel free to go ahead and do this. It will take me a couple of seconds for me to find this. What this is that it is a 4-foot chalice that is run, that what it is it is a 4-foot chalice that's filled with incense, and then it's swung in the church service, okay? And so I will try to find it.
This
is in the church service, okay?
James.
Yeah, when you
So
get there.
the joke about this is that this is incense and it's supposed to purify. The other thing is that people have been walking for 35 days. When was the last time they've had a shower? So it's pretty funny to see about how this is actually working and things are happening with it. So come on now, nicer to it.
Was there a shower available in the hostel for?
Oh yeah, you could, but you'd have to wait your turn and stuff.
Wait your turn because it was a normal like hotel.
Okay.
If you're
There are 8 guys. There are 8 priests in the red. 8 priests in the red here are pulling this thing at the exact same time in order for them to get this swinging. This thing is, I'm going to show you a different angle in a second for you to get an idea about what it is. All of the rest of the priests are over this way. What you're looking at is you're looking at the cross beams of the cross with where this is swinging. Okay. I'm going to show you another video of where it is with where it's down the main portion there is for it. This is one of the most famous things that there is related to the Camino is this, the Budiforio, which means flaming incense is what it means in Gaelic.
Just go all day long?
No, this is only done for 3 minutes to 4 minutes.
Oh,
Okay. And there was one church service. We purposely scheduled to walk in on Sunday, and this is done only at the 6 p.m. service on Sundays. And so we hit it exactly at the perfect time for us to do this. And then so that was.
Is that a monastery too? That church?
I am unaware, but I would guess there's
Because
probably a monastery.
You said there were so many priests.
Oh, it's huge.
That's what I mean. I wonder if it was a monastery too.
Big step.
I think we should have one of those in St. Andrews.
I think it's important. Oh, I got the other video to show. Okay, this is another one that's fabulous. Sorry, there's so much stuff. Okay, these are stones, with the people do the stone thing, okay? You're walking along and then here's these people have erected these stone statue things, okay? That was fun. Walking through the Camino, okay. This is my video. They just started swinging here. And it'll take a couple of seconds for them to get this going, but you can see that they start flipping this thing around.
How low down is this thing? If you stand up, you're gonna get hit in the head.
Oh, it is swinging probably about 6 to 8 feet above the floor. You can barely see the whole. These are all priests. I mean, they're all ministers back here. And then you've got these guys here in red that are like the guys that are only allowed to go ahead and do the flame thing.
They are decking.
Okay. So to give you an idea, start thinking about how high that thing is going, and it's just going every once in a while. Whoosh. Whoosh. So that was one. They're chanting during this right now. I have no idea what they're chanting.
Obviously, a Catholic.
And then I'm going to go to The last thing, since I completely, we need to do this, is I need to find the video of the young kid. This is the young kid. Okay, so what this is, I want you to, I'm going to paint the picture. This is a 22-year-old girl. This is 3 days after we've gotten back, and she's produced this video and put it to music.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this gives you an idea about what there is, and I've got to get this out of the way. Where's my controls? There, I can do the controls.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's going to be the whole trip.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, that
Oh.
was very good.
That's really good.
You aren't excited about it at all, are you?
Yeah.
Not very passionate about it all.
What did it cost per person?
The church subsidized it then to make it so it was inexpensive as possible for them, so each participant can pay $2,000.
Well, that's pretty reasonable.
2,000.
It was 1/3 the cost.
Yeah.
About 1/3 the cost of what it was.
Would you go again?
I'm not sure I would walk.
Yeah.
Okay,
the bicycle.
I'm not kidding. Because Vicky, it was that hard,
Yeah.
especially when you couldn't walk, you couldn't roll downhill and stuff like that, and stuff like that. And the other thing, I can't say I may walk it again. I would never walk the full 45 days. I have had other friends that have said that they needed to walk the full 45 days for what they were going through. Absolutely. Interesting. So yeah,
Can you bike the whole thing?
yeah.
They let you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
You rent the bike thing, and you can rent it. You know, you don't have to take your own bike. You can rent stuff and stuff like that, and you can even rent e-bikes and stuff.
E-bikes.
Yeah.
So do you have to do it consecutive days? Can you take a day?
Yes, yes you can. Yes, you can take it. There's no reason for you to have to go ahead and do it, you know, but we had to because of the schedule that we were on.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah. Oh my, gonna have to stop sharing.
About 10 years ago.
Okay, bye people. Thank you.
Cindy Bates took a bunch of us to Spain, the Vandermillers. I walked with Pat, and we walked like from one town to the next. So we didn't walk very far. I mean, it was what, 5 miles, something like that?
That's 7.
Yeah, 7 miles.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, you walked the Camino, but where we walked, it was pretty flat land, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of drizzling that day.
We kind of got lost in that one area.
And, yeah, because we were all walking like together and,
Well, you get John, and you don't
Yeah,
even walk past the marker, and
you're
it's like, where am I?
chit-chatting and you're
Yeah, but it's
going.
nice, but I
you
get
know?
back to it, you know.
So that was fun, but we didn't, you know, at least you can say you walked on the El Camino, even though we went like 7 miles or something.
Did you folks go too, Ruth and George?
Yeah.
Great.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah, there was a lot of us. Wasn't there about 50 of us? Not everybody walked though. If they wanted to stay in the hotel, they could.
Steve, are they thinking of doing a program for the whole church? You know, because-
The one that I was gonna say is if you want to do the adult one, it's scheduled for the fall of 2024.
No, but I mean your program. Why limit
Present
it
it to
to small groups? You know, why not open, you know, have an evening program on the trip, you know, instead of just talking a little bit about our church.
I could ask them if they want to go ahead and do that.
I think there would be enough interest. I don't know.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll bring that up and also about the kids. I would like to have some more of the youth. I'd like to have the youth come along and have them, you know, talk, because it's just me, you know, this is just my interpretation of what I saw. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. It was a wonderful presentation. Okay. See you next time.